Jirishanca is a 6,000 meter peak in Peru. Steep and intimidating. It's the epitome of a climber's mountain. There's no easy way to the top, with hard climbing in every genre. There's 513 sport climbing at the base of the route on European quality limestone. Wandery, run out, alpine rock terrain, steep ice climbing, really challenging, chossy, hard to protect mixed climbing. And then eventually these spectacular ice roofs that you just don't encounter very many places in the world. And insecure, funky snow wallowing towards the summit. So Jirishanca literally has like a little bit of everything. Rad climbing in every genre that's challenging. Perfect.
Climb with Josh. He's got the full package of climbing skills to do something like this. I know this means a lot to him. He had this vision. It'd be pretty sweet to make this a free climbing project.
This is my 4th trip, which is kind of a lot. And this is the 2nd trip for Vince. Coming back to a mountain over and over again, you learn a little bit. It just come together. It's a process. If you want to do something that's like truly hard, challenging, you're going to have to invest. And that's why I keep coming back to Jirishanca.
Josh Wharton, he's off the charts in terms of high level of performance on multiple different types of climbing that you just don't see that often. I would call Josh a unicorn.
Nobody outside of the core climbing circles knows Josh, but the guys who know what's up have a deep respect for Josh.
Josh is one of the best all-around climbers in the world without a doubt. Everything from bouldering to sport climbing to alpine climbing to ice competitions.
He's an incredibly talented, just pure rock climber.
He sport climbs at a really high level.
Doing like 5/14ths.
Traditional climbing. I mean, that guy's got the headspace climbing above protection or where there's some element of danger involved.
Josh is really good at super uncomfortable and scary stuff. When everybody else thinks the conditions are totally out, he's ready to go.
I've done lots of adventurous trad climbing in the Black Canyon. Really run out chossy things. That was not good.
But the route's better now because it's cleaner.
86 different routes in the Black Canyon.
I'm in Black Canyon. It's like freaking terrifying.
You're like, holy shit, that is out there. But he's always just calm and under control.
Ice climbing's probably always been my least favorite genre of climbing.
I remember like in the early 2000s, Josh just decided he needed to get better at ice climbing and, showed up and started winning the comps.
All right, Josh, making it look easy so far.
Doing the competition forced me to train and get better at it.
There it is, folks. 2 years in a row. Josh.
He just immediately eclipsed all of us.
Put all that together and he can get up mountains.
He's gone to Canadian Rockies, climbed all the hardest classics. Patagonia, free climbed Cerro Torre. Pakistan, put up giant new routes on site, high altitude. You name it, the guy's done it. But he doesn't catch a lot of headlines.
I don't think he likes to be in the limelight.
I don't have Instagram, I don't have Facebook, I don't have any social media.
Do you even know what the other social media options are?
Oh, I think there's TikTok.
What else?
I don't know, what's hip these days?
He's such a Luddite.
He was on flip phone till like 2021 or so. So yeah, he's a unique guy.
Bye.
He's really soft-spoken, like comically understated.
What are some of your proudest sport climbing tips?
Let's see, proudest sport climbing tips.
You're never going to get an ounce of hyperbole out of Josh Wharton. You're just not.
I feel like even in this interview, you're really not into sensationalizing.
Yeah.
And I know you've dissed on some of our films for being
hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is not afraid to call BS on overhyped achievements.
Like a stoic, old school alpinist vibe.
Hyperbole, in climbing and climbing films and climbing media makes put climbs and people on pedestals in ways that just aren't real. So I've tried to sort of navigate that in my own climbing, you know, to make sure that climbing is something that I'm doing because I love it genuinely.
In terrain that looks totally deadly, he is more comfortable than basically anybody I've known.
Whoa.
In a way that makes me question his risk management.
Some people think Josh, especially in his younger years, is like this really bold climber, you know,
Heads up.
taking excess risk.
There was definitely a period of time where I like really worried about Josh's longevity. He's just so laissez-faire in the face of like incredibly dangerous things.
Fuck. Bent City. Oh, it's still good. Still good.
One year he wrapped off the end of his rope on Mount Hooker, and the next year he was setting up a top rope on an ice climb and told me the story of like falling and then like going off the edge of the ice climb and just like throwing his ice axe out and stopping himself as he was about to plummet off the cliff. Then the next year he almost fell off the top of the Black Canyon. You know, it was like one thing after another.
This scar on my head is from the Black Canyon. A sharp flake sliced my head open. That was grim.
It was kind of interesting. He told me at one point, he's like, I don't want to die of cancer. He's like, he wanted to die in the mountains. And at some point I was like, I feel like he's setting himself up for that.
When I was a young kid, my dad would take me climbing. We would like roll out to the cliff with a 100-foot piece of rope, 2 carabiners, 2 slings. We'd tie the rope around our waist. My dad would solo off, bring me up, say, you know, sit on this ledge, don't move. It's like super dicey. I'd cry every time. I was totally scared of heights, not into it. Growing up, my mom was, you know, like my best friend and somebody I loved so much. My mom was a healthy, vibrant person and got sick and was dead in 6 months. She passed away when I was 16 from pancreatic cancer. To see her die at that young age of something that was totally out of her control, for me, that changed everything. Kind of pointed out to me, like, I want to do what I'm passionate about, what I care about in life. Like, death is a reminder to live, in my opinion, you know? Wow. It's very possible had that not happened, who knows, I'd probably be like a lawyer in New England driving a Volvo or something. But at that moment, it's like, I love climbing, that's what I'm going to do.
They got fancy.
2014, we had our daughter Hera, who's now 9 years old.
Oh,
Nice.
Third position. Kind of falling over third position.
Which has been like an absolute joy. I love being a dad. Becoming a dad, and I think just getting older, my relationship with risk has changed a little bit. I would say that my risk taking is more calculated these days. Big snow ridge in here. It's kind of...
Seeing my dad on a giant route in the snow where he could fall off and die. Yeah. Yep, that scares me a little. But he's always making sure that everything's safe. Because he knows that it would let us two down if he did hurt himself, so.
I think risk's a valuable thing in life because it leads us to like growing as a person and having all sorts of adventures and cool and interesting experiences. I wouldn't want my daughter Hera to live in a bubble. I don't want her to try to avoid risk through her life. And so it's not something I want to totally let go of either, you know?
How are you set for sunscreen, for like root sunscreen? The stuff I'm bringing, I used recently and got burnt to shit.
We arrived at base camp, started to sort out the gear.
This beak's been modified so you can put it in a corner. And this one's like 800 pounds and this one's 1,400, I think.
Geeking out about what we're going to take up there, trying to reduce the weight.
4 pounds. Always too much stuff. Go alpine climbing. I always wish there was less stuff.
When we first arrived, I could tell the conditions were really good. The mountain looked very dry, and I knew that a storm was coming. So the plan was to try to free climb the first few pitches while it's dry, and then come back to base camp.
Good morning. First time up this season?
Yeah, gonna go do the first couple of pitches. The glacier's melted back a bit, so just getting onto the glacier will be different than it was. So the first time I was here in 2015 on this mountain, we were already on glacier. You can see the glacier's probably receded a quarter of a mile.
Going to Jirishanca over the course of these years was the first time that I had been to a route multiple times and just been so keenly aware of how quickly things were melting and how fast climate change was affecting the mountains and the ice and snow.
Even in 2019, this big rock slab was all covered by snow and ice. Pretty wild to see how quickly the glacier is actually receding from year to year. I suspect that in the next 20 years, this glacier will be entirely gone.
Jirishanca was first climbed in the 50s. It was like a legendary objective. I look at some of the old photos and you can see the mountain's changed a ton. It just seems to basically be melting down. So yeah, the mountain's gotten much harder. And that's why no one's been to the top in 20 years.
How's it looking up there?
Looks really good. It looks bone dry.
The base of the wall, it's a steep, impressive limestone. Kind of looks like you're climbing into Verdun or something.
For me, the most physical pitch is the very first one, which is this funky off fingers corner. I think probably like 12A, and it's really physical. Josh made it look easy, but I had to like knee bar and stuff in there to like try to rest.
Whoa, I fell.
And the second pitch, it's thin, techie face climbing, maybe 13A-ish. Quite cool and fun.
The way we would block lead it, Josh got all those first rock pitches because that's clearly where his strengths are.
A few bolts had been put in through that section by an Italian party. They aided blanker sections, so the bolts are exactly where you'd want them for free climbing.
Nice. Good job.
There's like a little right-hand Gaston.
What's
by your
that?
right, there's something by your right elbow. Right there that I use, yeah.
The exhaustion of the climbing at that altitude, at 20,000 feet.
There's other women out there.
It was rough, like breathing really hard. I'm just like, and Josh is just like calm, not breathing so hard. But man, it smoked me.
We went up for a couple more pitches. Steep one during 511. Got the ropes fixed so we wouldn't have to worry about that part being wet after the storm, and rappelled back down to base camp. Sat around like 4 or 5 days of poor weather. Current plan, and assuming the forecast holds, we'll launch tomorrow and climb 3 days up.
There's some questions about the ice climbing. There's a few portions that potentially could have deteriorated, so I just hope we can get through them. You know, I'm a little nervous, I suppose, just that you know, I'll perform well. You know, the altitude, that's certainly a factor. But I guess that's why you go, because you don't know. So yeah, I feel pretty good, pretty psyched.
Nice big window opened up, and we were ready to go.
Hola.
I think the nuts has been what's giving me butt pee.
Really?
Yeah. That's all this stuff is.
My sleeping pad and pee bottle.
And a stuff sack.
Size pea bottle, do you think?
Wide mouth?
Full liter?
Yes. I drew a picture of Satan doing a bong rip on it to make sure nobody mistakes it for a
Or a swing.
water bottle.
You'll make one last butt tea attempt.
You ever listen to the band Electric Wizard?
No.
No? Okay. It's stoner metal.
They're kind of like...
It's like sludge. It's like sludge.
It's like sludge, yeah.
Yeah.
Sabbath.
Tool.
I not like Tool.
We Jumarked back to our high point, top of Pitch 4. Our strategy was climb day 1 through the limestone big wall and a bunch of 511 and 510 climbing to a nice cave bivouac, like 1,500 feet up the wall.
All right, I'm finally going.
There's Vince, first fix line. Going. Day 1. On southeast ridge of Jirishanca. Lovely day.
Already out of breath. 10 feet off the ground.
Oh boy. Oh no! It can't last long. Off to a slow but steady start. Marathon pace in this thing. What do you? Climbing's a little harder when you're nervous about pooping your pants.
Yeah, it keeps you attentive. It keeps you tight. It keeps your core tight.
The crux of day 1 is actually the hauling. Got a fair bit of stuff for going up a big wall. So climbing that all efficiently, because it's a bit ledgy and a bit wandery, just constantly dealing, oh, bag stuck, gotta pull the tag. It's like somewhat challenging for sure. Having someone like Vince who's spent a lot of time in the mountains and isn't weighed out up there or anything and can deal, it's a game changer.
How's it going, Vince?
Hanging in there?
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Grinding it out.
We are grinding, that's for sure.
That dynamic that Josh and I have together, it's an unspoken vocabulary, anticipating what needs to be done. Sometimes it's good to chit-chat.
Tide started coming in.
Sometimes it's good just to shut the fuck up.
Nice. Good job, Josh.
End of day 1. Vince coming over to the bivvy. How's it going?
It's going. Working to make a bivvy. How tall are you?
5'11".
I'm maybe a little more than 5'11".
Yeah.
I used to be.
Yeah.
I might need the longer side. Who knows? Do you snuggle?
I like to snuggle.
I mean, curl up.
I'm not a good flat on my back sleeper.
Okay. Seems to take less space.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hard job of making water.
Vince is such like a soldier on the mountain. He just knows how to live up there. Little things like at the end of a long day, making a bunch of water or chopping the tent platform. He's really good at doing all this like blue collar labor that make the team function well.
Bivvy number 1, we managed to get the tent up. Woody-hoo! How is it in there, Vince?
Oh, it's pretty damn nice.
Looks like it's going to be cozy, huh?
Yeah, you don't know the difference between this and a regular camp.
Sweet.
I think Vince is a really good yin to my yang. He's got all the medical stuff dialed and all the rescue stuff dialed, and so he feels like a really safe person to be up there with. It's good to be along with someone. He's 10 years farther down the road than I am. I'd known Vince through the years working with Patagonia. He would show up with some heavy metal t-shirt on, an angel being stabbed by a devil with blood dripping down. I was wondering, who is this guy?
God, he had this really offensive shirt. That's Vince. Vince was always cool rock and roll guy. He was the same when he was 21 as he is now that he's 53.
I love rock and roll. And I'm also a big fan of nostalgia, so I like records. Get like a piece of art with the big black disc that comes in the inside. So let me find something a little more obscure. I like the obscure. This is one of my favorites on the OCs. So probably more of an acquired taste. This is their album Putrefiers 2, which is kind of cool because there was no Putrefiers 1.
Yeah.
Just a little pep in your step.
I think Vince missed his calling. He should have been the front man of a metal band. Just get him into a karaoke session and you will find out who the real Vince Anderson is.
I'm not going to dance around for you guys.
I love it.
Travis does it great.
Oh, you have to get Travis.
He's not that big.
He's got 3 beautiful boys and his wife is just awesome. It is sort of this chaos all the time and everyone's just having fun.
What do you guys think of your dad's music?
It gives me headaches and it's disturbing. It's like alien music.
Vince is a 3rd or 4th generation Colorado native. He came up as a skier and wanting to climb harder and harder peaks so he could ski off of them.
I went and lived in Alaska for my summers. I went up Denali by myself, started my guiding career.
He and I first crossed paths in our mountain guide training process like in the early 90s. And we climbed Nanga Parbat in 2005 by the Rupal Face, which is the biggest wall in the world, 16,000 feet of vertical relief. We did it in a minimalist style, really small rack, 1 sleeping bag, 2 25-pound backpacks, out there for 8 days, no connection to the world whatsoever.
We were really close to being on like the edge. Like one little thing gone wrong would not have turned out very well for us. We were getting showered by shrapnel from these big Serac avalanches from thousands of feet above.
We climbed that day for 23 hours. There's just no way to go back down from where we are. We have to go to the top. It was terribly nerve-wracking.
I never would get more than 30 minutes of sleep before I would wake up. And after like the 4th or 5th day, man, it was crushing me not having slept.
Vince is just completely shutting down.
I'm like, Steve, man, I cannot keep my eyes open.
I like ripped out a Snickers bar, I shoved it in his mouth.
Finally, we found this spot and I immediately fell asleep. I wake up in 10 minutes and felt like fully recharged.
What we went through together, tears and blood, guts. You literally saw in each other's souls. Deep inside of Vince, there is a really strong will. Climbing Nanga Parbat, it was thought of as the alpinism crowning achievement of that decade. We got all kinds of awards, posed for the cover of Outside magazine.
That's cool, like getting accolades and respect from people. But that whole experience still plays out with me sometimes today because of the fear that I suppressed to deal with all that.
Vince quit climbing. I think that was a response to Nanga Parbat and what we went through, that he needed to have some space.
At that time, I met my now wife, Colleen. She was way into mountain biking and I started getting into that.
He took a 10-year hiatus and raced mountain bikes and did really well and crushed it.
I got out of personal alpine climbing endeavors for almost a decade. What really reinvigorated me to get back out there was once my son Chente found the love of climbing himself.
There you go, buddy.
And I was like, oh, okay. If you want to climb, I can do that.
When you're young and your dad's like, all right, we're gonna go haul you up this 100-foot cliff for 2 hours and you just wanna play with Legos, it's not the coolest thing ever. But then that natural click when you're like, oh wait, I can do this.
Good job, Chente.
I started liking climbing. We were just going all the time. He's my primary climbing partner. It seems like my dad's more comfortable like on a mountain than he is going to like a school conference or stuff like that. Like anytime we're out bouldering, he's just himself.
Dad can still do it.
And then like when he used to have to come pick me up from school, it'd just be like, Vince, you know, hello, nice to see you today. Kind of.
I had gotten back into the scene and was looking for things to do. My friend Steve's house had gone to Jirishanca with Josh. They didn't get too far, they had bad weather.
It was snowing every day, it was wet. We made a Hail Mary attempt at the end, but it was never gonna happen. I came out of that trip in 2018 with the realization that that was probably my last expedition. So I sort of played matchmaker and suggested that Vince and Josh climb together, knowing that Vince would be a perfect guy to help him see that through.
Yeah, Josh got in touch and was like, hey, you want to go down there? I'm like, oh yeah. That first trip with Josh in 2019, we gave it a shot, but we didn't summit. Now we're back.
Getting going on morning number 2. Had a great bivy last night. Beautiful sunrise morning. Psyched. Start up this ice ramp. Vince is gonna do some leading today. What do you?
Vince is leading. He's a good ice climber. We're going up this ice gully. The sun hits the ridge above, extends down small rocks and ice.
You're under some of these ice roofs. If any of the stuff there falls off, it could be pretty dangerous.
So we really want to minimize our time in that area. I did actually get hit with like a baseball-sized rock in there.
You know, I'm just trying to move quickly, but I was breathing really hard. That lightheaded feeling you get from altitude.
Nope, not thick enough. Maybe better here. Oh yeah.
Vince is really good at reading ice.
Ice.
And he's really good at figuring out the safety system.
Not my favorite ice screw in the world. If that's any better.
Screws and runners and slung icicles.
It's about the same.
Vince is putting in screws maybe every 10 or 15 meters.
So it's run out.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. You can climb 5-6 without putting in much gear. If you climbed a lot of water ice, you can climb water ice without putting in much gear. I'm sort of downplaying it again, not being hyperbolic. Sorry,
No,
Chuck.
that's fine.
It's 1,000 feet of classic frozen water ice climbing up a narrow ribbon of ice. Super awesome.
Oh, this one's good. Whew! Fuck me. That's hard.
Vince doing a sick job exiting the ice gullies. We're out onto the ridge.
Josh started leading from there.
All right, see ya.
Back in the 50s, this was all snow and ice. And now it's this super loose old rock that's been exposed where the ice is melted back.
Jesus. Ouch.
The blocks are melting, not frozen together. It's all a bit questionable. So you're having to climb very delicately.
Ropes fixed, Vince! Getting towards the ice roofs. Pretty decent views up here. Looking down on Jirishanca Chico. Base camp.
We arrived at the bivouac, day 2, set up camp. You're underneath a huge ice roof.
The overhanging ice roofs, that definitely is the most dramatic part of the climb.
The upper ridge is always a bit of a question mark just because it's so conditions dependent, particularly for free climbing. So one concern I have is that depending on how the ice roofs have melted back in the last few years, could be way steeper.
Once we get up high, it's just solving the riddle of the mushroom snow maze. They get kind of weird and funky, and I guess ultimately they can be a little treacherous.
So is it dangerous?
I mean, it's not tennis. So yeah.
There's real deal hard climbing right into the very end. On the previous trip, in 2019, we got close to the top late in the afternoon, feeling tired, had some complicated terrain still to go to the summit. Got no water, we got no bivy kit.
That year, I got into some bad sugary snow, and it really took quite a while to climb through that and then establish some form of an anchor under this big mushroom. So Josh takes over and disappears around this corner, maybe 45 minutes or so. And then the rope comes back, he pokes his head around and says, hey, I guess it's pretty important that we get back to see our families, huh? I said, yeah, it's definitely important for that. So if that's at all in question, then I'm with you, let's go down. Like, I don't really care how close we are, if that's the concern.
That just seemed like a little bit too much risk to accept as dads at the time, you know, like maybe a younger self would have gone for it, but in that moment decided not to, and just made the decision at that point to turn around and wrap. So we'd been, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred meters from the top that year.
Over the years, I've been to a lot of memorials for people. It's a hard pill to swallow. There is tremendous beauty to climbing, but there's also this dark side.
I see risk as sort of a bank account, and you make withdrawals through your life, and you should only make withdrawals if it's something that's really like rewarding and inspiring to you. So I try to keep those withdrawals down to a minimum.
I've had a lot of successes, I've had a lot of failures. Obviously, the main goal is to come back down, but I'll be honest, I would like to summit the mountain.
Third day, going for the summit. Beautiful morning. A little steep ice roof for breakfast. Watch me close, Vince.
Yeah. What's my what?
Watch me close.
I'm watching you close. I'm watching real close.
The ice roofs are kind of the capper of the mountain. It's steep, overhanging serac ice, and that's an unusual thing to see on the side of a mountain. It's very exciting to climb. Climbing ice out this steep roof at the top of 6,000 meter peak. It's sort of surreal. It's incredible. I mean, that's why I went back to the route over and over again. After the ice roof, there's a bit of chossy rock climbing up the ridge.
Chossola.
And then you arrive at the upper ridge, which is the last push to the summit. It's a bit complicated and can be really heinous snow.
The snow mushrooms, you wouldn't want to fall off of one, so you're really looking for ways around them or through a weakness. Now you get into overhanging snow, and that's just not cool. We just had to climb underneath that big boy. Yikes. This mountain's definitely falling apart as of lately, and it's not giving up easily. We're really close.
There's loose, sugary snow that feels kind of like trying to climb up a steep sandbox. It's got like this swimming aspect to it. As the snow gets worse, the protection gets worse.
There's the summit back there, but not so easy to get to. Slow climbing. A long ways up.
How's it going, Vince?
It's going. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
So close, but so far away.
Every step on this mountain for sure, huh?
Yeah. Pretty wild ride.
Yeah. We just came across that. No big deal.
So it's right past that. I think looks like we can do it. Josh is able to lead up a little higher. Crazy shit. Freaking close. Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the top right there.
Here comes Vince. Summit guy.
For Josh, having tried it several times and been able to free every pitch was really impressive.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Helping him succeed, for me, that was as valuable as reaching the summit for myself. I felt privileged to be involved. And I think even Josh was pretty excited about it.
Woo-hoo!
Last thing, we're gonna make a movie about this climb.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna sensationalize it.
Yeah, awesome.
So just to set the record straight, how badass is it?
To be honest, for me, it is super proud and was super interesting. And, I was really excited about pulling it off in the end because it required so much experience and such a high technical level across the genres.
So it's the ultimate objective.
Yeah. There you go. Hyperbole. Crank it to 11.
You said it. That's great. That's great.